Jacob Thatcher looked Roman Reigns dead in the eyes while he was getting destroyed and didn't move a single muscle. Not a flinch, not a step forward, not even a blink. And WWE wants you to think that was just a dramatic storytelling moment. They want you to nod along, feel the tension, and move on to the next segment. But if you actually understand the Anoa'i family bloodline, not the WWE version, the real one, then what happened in that moment wasn't just television. It was a message so deeply rooted in Samoan culture and family hierarchy that most of the writing team probably didn't even fully understand what they were putting on screen. And that is exactly what we're breaking down today. Every layer, every implication, every deliberate choice, because nothing in that moment was accidental. Let's go back. Roman Reigns returns. The crowd erupts because no matter what anyone says, when that music hits, something happens in your chest. Roman is a once-in-a-generation performer and the greatest world champion of the modern era, period. But this isn't about his greatness. This is about what happened in the moments after he got put down. The bloodline is standing there. Solo Sikoa, the self-declared tribal chief, Tamar Tonga Loa, and Jacob Thatcher, the most terrifying, most physically gifted, most explosive member of that entire faction, standing completely, utterly, deliberately still. Roman gets spiked. Roman goes down. And Jacob Thatcher watches. Question 1. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you think Jacob Thatcher's stillness was scripted to perfection, or did WWE stumble into something deeper than they planned? Here's what you need to understand before anything else. The Ula Fala, that sacred Samoan necklace that Roman Reigns wears, is not a prop. It is not a costume piece. It is not something Vince McMahon's old team slapped on Roman to make him look exotic. The Ula Fala is a symbol of chiefly status in Samoan culture. When Roman was given the Ula Fala in storyline, it wasn't just a title change. It was a declaration of rank, of bloodline authority, of who leads the family. And then Solo Sikoa, Roman's younger cousin, stripped it from him, took the Ula Fala, declared himself tribal chief, and built his own bloodline around soldiers who were never given that necklace, never earned that designation, and never had that blessing passed to them. So when Jacob Thatcher stands there watching Roman get dismantled, a man who legitimately represents that chiefly lineage, who was the first person in that faction to carry the weight of the entire Anoa'i family on television, what you're seeing is either the most layered character storytelling WWE has produced in years, or the most accidentally profound moment in recent memory. Either way, it matters. Jacob Fatu is the son of Samu, the nephew of Rikishi. He is blood. He is not a hired soldier like Tamar Tonga. He is not an ally brought in for muscle. He is an Anoa'i family through and through. And that means when Roman Reigns, the designated tribal chief, the man who wore the Ula Fala, the man who defeated everyone placed in front of him for over 4 years, when that man is lying on the ground, Jacob Fatu has a choice that no one else in that faction has. Because Jacob Fatu is the only one in Solo's bloodline for whom loyalty to Solo directly conflicts with loyalty to blood. Question 2. I need your answer in the comments. If you were booking Jacob Fatu right now, do you keep him loyal to Solo, or do you start the slow burn betrayal toward Roman? Now let's talk about what WWE Creative has actually done with this, because this is where I go from impressed to infuriated. They have Jacob Fatu, a gene-rational athlete, a man who, if you've seen any of his independent work, any of his footage before WWE, moves like someone shrunk a monster down and gave him the agility of a cruiserweight. This man is a freak. A legitimate, once-in-a-decade physical specimen who can do things in that ring that make your brain malfunction. And what has WWE done with him consistently? Used him as backdrop. Used him as muscle that stands behind Solo Sikoa while the camera focuses somewhere else. Used him as a prop in someone else's story when this man should be the centerpiece of must-watch television every single week. The stillness moment, whether it was deeply intentional or beautifully accidental, gave Jacob Fatu more character depth in 10 seconds of doing nothing than WWE Creative has given him in months of doing everything they've told him to do. Think about that. 10 seconds of stillness versus months of booking. And the 10 seconds won. Question 3. Be honest. Has WWE been wasting Jacob Fatu, and if so, is it criminal negligence, or do they actually have a long game that we're not seeing yet? Now let me tell you what the Ula Fala snub actually means in the context of this story, and why it explains everything about where Jacob Fatu's character should be heading. When Roman had the Ula Fala, it wasn't just about him. The necklace represents the blessing of the bloodline over its people. The chief doesn't just rule, the chief protects. The chief carries the family. Every win Roman had, in kayfabe, was a win for the family, for the bloodline, for the legacy. Solo took the necklace. But Solo never received it. He seized it. There's a difference. In actual Samoan cultural tradition, and the WWE creative team leans on this symbolism even if they don't always understand the depth of it. A chief who takes power by force, without the blessing of the people, without the passage from the previous leader, is not truly a chief. He is a usurper. And Jacob Thatcher, blood of that family, son of Samu, raised in that culture, knows this. So when Roman goes down and Jacob Thatcher doesn't move, is it because he's loyal to Solo? Or is it because some part of him, some deep, unspoken, culturally embedded part of him, cannot bring himself to participate in the desecration of the man who legitimately carried his family's name? Question 4. Tell me in the comments, do you believe WWE's writing team actually understands Samoan cultural symbolism deeply enough to be doing this intentionally, or are the fans smarter than the bookers right now? This is the question that keeps me up at night about modern WWE, and I say this as someone who has watched this company for decades, as someone who sat through the dark years, as someone who defended this company to people who said wrestling was stupid, because I knew what it could be at its absolute best. WWE right now has more talent on its roster than at any point in its history, more legitimate athletes, more trained performers, more international stars who have proven themselves across the globe. The ceiling is infinite, and yet, they still find ways to let storylines breathe for 2 weeks and then suffocate them with bad decisions. They still find ways to take a white-hot character moment and cool it down with a mid-card match that goes nowhere. They still find ways to make you feel like the writers watched the same 5 minutes of footage you did and then walked into a room and chose the least interesting interpretation. Jacob Thatcher standing still while Roman got spiked is a gift. It is a story gift wrapped and handed to the creative team with a bow on top. The audience is already asking questions. The audience is already invested. The audience is already doing the storytelling work for you. All WWE has to do is not mess it up. Question 5. What do you think WWE will do with this moment versus what they should do, and how big is that gap? Here's where I'll tell you what the perfect version of this story looks like. Because I'm not just here to complain. I'm here because I love this and I want it to be everything it can be. The perfect version of this story is a slow, agonizing, beautiful burn. Jacob Thatcher doesn't turn on Solo tomorrow night. He doesn't make a speech. He doesn't shake Roman's hand at a pay-per-view and get a pop. That's the lazy version. That's the version that gives you 1 week of excitement and then disappears. The perfect version is Jacob Thatcher getting increasingly uncomfortable. Small moments. A hesitation before a cheap shot. A look held a half-second too long. A moment where Solo celebrates and the camera finds Thatcher's face and there is nothing there, no joy, no excitement, just the quiet unease of a man who is standing on the wrong side of something that his blood is telling him matters. And then when Roman and Solo finally collide for the last time, when the stakes are at their absolute peak, when the Ula Fala is on the line and the family legacy hangs in the balance, Jacob Thatcher makes his choice. Not for Roman. Not because Roman is the good guy. But because the bloodline, the real one, the cultural one, the one that existed before WWE ever put it on television, demands it. That is a WrestleMania moment. That is a legacy-defining storyline. That is the kind of professional wrestling that turns casual fans into obsessives and reminds everyone why we never stopped watching in the first place. Question 6. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust WWE to actually deliver on the potential of this Jacob Thatcher storyline? Be brutal. I can take it. Jacob Thatcher is not just a monster. He is not just a weapon. He is a story. He is a living, breathing, genetically loaded story about family and loyalty and what it means to carry a name that is bigger than yourself. Roman Reigns built 4.5 years of the greatest character work this business has seen since the Attitude Era on exactly those themes. And now, whether by design or by beautiful accident, WWE has placed the one man on the entire roster who could carry that torch, not because he's being handed it, but because it was forged from the same fire right at the center of the most emotionally complex faction story they've told in years. The Ula Fala snub isn't just a moment, it's a mirror. It's Jacob Thatcher looking at what Roman Reigns represents and seeing something that Solo Psycho will never be able to give him. A reason. Final question, and I want every single one of you to answer this. Is Jacob Thatcher the most important piece on WWE's entire roster right now, and are they the last ones to realize it? Closing CTA, deliver this with maximum intensity. If you made it this far, if you're still here, then you already know. You feel what this story could be. You feel the weight of it. And you are furious, just like I am, at the possibility that WWE might blink, might flinch, Might take everything we just talked about and reduce it to a mid-card run and a highlight package. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to smash that like button right now, not because I asked nicely, but because you know this content is different. This isn't fluff. This isn't recycled takes. This is passion. This is love for a business that breaks your heart every other week and still somehow keeps you coming back. You're going to share this video with every wrestling fan in your life, the obsessive, the casual, the one who claims they stopped watching but definitely still checks the results on Monday morning. Send it to them. Make them watch it. Start the argument. You're going to subscribe because if you want analysis that treats you like an adult, that respects the culture, that refuses to accept mediocrity from a product with this much potential, then this is where you live now. And you're going to go down to those comments and you are going to sound off. Answer those questions. Give me your booking. Tell me your predictions. Tell me how angry you are. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare you to tell me I'm wrong. Because this is the conversation that wrestling deserves. Jacob Fatu didn't move, and neither should you.